In other news now, Ukrainian forces have pulled out of the embattled eastern town of Siversk after holding out against Russian troops for 3.5 years. The Ukrainian military said it acted to preserve the lives of its soldiers. The fall of Siversk comes after several months of intense urban combat. The town is considered strategically important because it's part of a line of defence protecting the last major urban area in the Donbas region still controlled by Ukraine. Russia has demanded that Kyiv cede control of the industrial and mining region before it ends the war. It's great to have military analyst Marina Miron from King's College London back with us. Marina, hi there. Tell us, what's the significance of the fall of Siversk?
Hello. You have already outlined the key moments when it comes to the city. If we look at the map, we see that Siversk is located about 30 kilometers to the east of Sloviansk, which remains one of the two major strongholds for Ukrainian armed forces in the Donbas. And therefore, by occupying the city, the Russians can effectively cut off Ukrainian logistics to Sloviansk, which means that it gives the Russians better position when they start developing their offensive towards Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. And therefore, they're inching much closer to the conquering of the Donbas. However, how long it will take for the Russian forces to take those two cities remains unknown, because it will be quite a difficult operation, and the Russian sources acknowledge that as well, despite the fact that the Ukrainian side is both outmanned and outgunned.
Thanks for explaining that so clearly. We were just looking at a map of those two cities. Just explain to us, given the complications that you've just outlined, how at risk are these two cities, Kramatorsk and Sloviansk?
Well, I think that sooner or later, the Russians will be advancing towards these two cities. However, we don't know whether it will be the priority for 2026 or the first months of 2026, given the fact that the Russian forces are active in other directions, such as Sumy, such as Zaporizhia. Now the area around Gulaipole has calmed down somewhat. That being said, we have other directions. The situation in Pokrovsk and Mirnograd hasn't been yet resolved completely in Russia's favor, and we're seeing the Ukrainian troops are trying to counterattack in Pokrovsk. So essentially, I don't know whether the Russians will go for those two cities at the beginning, but eventually this is within the military strategic design.
Let's look at things from Ukrainians' point of view for a moment. As it stands now from a military perspective, does Ukraine have any chance to strike back and regain some of its lost territory like the city that's fallen?
Well, I don't think it is viable for Ukraine, given the manpower shortage and given the fact that the Russians are trying to stretch Ukrainian defenses and then exploit the points where these defenses are at their weakest. Therefore, I don't see Ukraine amassing enough reserves to be able to retake the likes of Siversk, or we're seeing now attempts in Pokrovsk. We'll see what comes out of it, but essentially it will be very difficult for Ukraine in its present situation. Again, we're talking about manpower, we're talking about military equipment, we're talking about finances. So I don't think that it's going to be possible for Ukraine, at least in the near future. The most important for Ukraine right now is to try and hold its defensive positions.
Thanks a lot for that, Marina. We've been speaking to military analyst Marina Miron from King's College London.
Thank you for having me.